I'm sure you follow Six Brown Chicks, and you
Oh,
check it out on Wednesdays.
those questions. Did you know those questions are actually fake? Well, they seem so outlandish
No,
and preposterous. But
no. Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Alpha Female Chronicles podcast. My name is Lindsay. I'm the creator and author of the Alpha Female Chronicles poetry collection that's available on the Friesen Press website. I'll give the link in the description. I'm also the creator of the Alpha Female Chronicles blog, where everything started. And talking about blog, today we're going to talk about how it all began, how this podcast came to be, how the blog came to be. And today we have Brandon as a guest. Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's Saturday. It's a day off. I'm relaxing, as you can see.
Yeah. So the reason I have Brandon on this podcast is because we've known each other on the internet for a while.
Long while.
A long while. We became Twitter buddies, blog buddies back in the day. We both had blogs in the blog heyday. So I thought it was a good opportunity to really dig into the beginnings of, I guess, the blogging era, and also my blog by having a fellow blogger on this podcast.
I haven't been called that.
Pardon?
I haven't been called that in eons.
Well, I still consider you as a blogger. We're like OGs of blogging.
Yes.
Blogging seems to be a dying breed.
Yes.
But it's okay. We can still represent
bloggers.
So tell us a bit more about yourself, what you do, where you live, what you got going on.
Okay, so hi everybody. My name is Brandon Sicard. I am a Haitian American civil engineer, photographer, blogger, per Lindsay, and a budding screenwriter. I live in the United States in Washington, D.C. And yeah, that's my spiel.
All right, that was short and sweet. So you did mention, yes, you are Haitian American, my fellow Haitian. Yeah, I remember you tweeting about making your own épices, which you will have to give me a recipe for.
Of course.
Please. That's something I'm lacking right now. The skill of making épices. But I don't really marinate my own meat. I just usually eat my mom's chicken.
As long as it gets the job done, right?
So, tell me, how did you get started in the blogging world?
So I started my blog, The Black Lounge, back in December of 2007. Wow. So that was 14 years ago, almost.
Mm-hmm.
I was a junior in college, working a part-time job and an internship and carrying a full engineering course load. So don't know where I found the time to start a blog in addition to that. But it initially started off just chronicling my life, current events, politics, not really pop culture, maybe something here and then, but mostly my life and my thoughts on politics and current events happening around me. Time went on, and I think I kept my blog up for about 5 or 6 years. It's actually still on the internet. I never took it down, but I'm not sharing the link. So if you find it, cool. But if not, good luck. I look at it as like a time capsule of where I was at that time. I was never really a person that kept a journal or a diary. So being able to go back and look to see like what I was thinking at the time, who I was dating at that time, the things I was doing at that time, it's weird to see as an almost 35-year-old the thoughts I was having at 20, 21 years old. So yeah.
I love the fact that you mentioned that the blog became a time capsule, because And I think it's a beautiful thing as well when you sometimes take the time to go back and read some posts. And like, let's say you read a post from like November 2008 or something, and you're like, wow, I was going through all of that. All of that. So I think that's something special as well to keep, you know. I've been thinking about archiving the first iteration of my blog, which was called Random Thoughts of an Alpha Female. You know, just to make sure it's still there, even though you're not maybe like contributing anymore or as much. It's always good to have it somewhere. You know, it's like you know, a photo collection or something. You know,
Definitely.
and I remember back in the day, the heyday of blogging, I remember going on Monica Mingle's blog. I think that's where we met. I think so. Yes. And then from that, I started following your blog and you started following my blog. And I have to say, you were the most consistent commenter and follower on my blog. And I always appreciated that. You always had a nice input on some of my posts. So, and I thought it was really interesting and I really enjoyed your blog. And I really enjoyed looking at your photography. You know, that was so fun to be able to connect with people who share similar interests or share similar platforms. What were some of your favorite blogs back then?
Let's see what I can remember. I remember more so the people behind the blogs and not necessarily the actual titles. Monica and I actually still keep in touch. I saw her a couple of years ago when I was down, not too far from where she lives. We're still good friends. I talk to her regularly. We still follow each other in social media, of course, and I keep up with a couple people here and there. But yeah, I can't actually remember specific blogs I kept up with, just more so the people.
Well, that's good. That's good that you're able to connect with some of them still to this day. I remember some of the blogs that I used to follow. I don't know if you remember, I don't even know if it's still up, the YBF, Young, Black, and Fabulous. Is it still up?
I don't know. I haven't checked in years. I think it was ybf.com.
Something like that.
I don't know.
Oh my God. I remember I would look at it like sporadically because it was a hot mess. It was a mess. And I remember all those posts about fully wangs and all of that. It was a lot. It was a lot to take in. So
I call it like the balance of righteous and ratchet. Like you need that. Yeah. You know, you have your uplifting posts, the current events, the politics, people's lives, the positive stuff, and the trials and tribulations. But sometimes you want a little mess to like pepper in, which you hear to be like, oh, okay, this is getting good. Let me read 15 posts back to see where this started and follow comments. And
I know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know. That's why I could only take it in like once in a while because it was just too much drama for me. I remember Madame Noire. I don't even know if that's still up. I remember
it is actually.
It is? Oh, okay, good for them. And I remember stuff like People Like with Ray and Gabe. You know, I still follow Ray and Gabe. They're doing their own thing now, and it's so cool. And also, I remember Kanye's old blog.
Kanye had a
yes, he did.
Was it on Tumblr?
I don't know, but it was really good. Like he would post like a lot of art inspo and new artists, and then it got weird, and then I stopped following. it got weird. Like at first it was all like light and fun, and he would post about like way back then, he started working on his first fashion collection. So he would show images and it was so cool. And he would feature new artists and trends, fashion trends, like all kinds of trends. And it was so cool. And then it got weird.
Yeah. I was a huge Kanye fan to start off. I think I discovered Kanye on Concrete Loop. Concrete Loop. I loved Concrete Loop.
Oh, I loved it.
Lived on Concrete Loop.
Oh my gosh.
So the I believe it's the guy who did the music editing, Jay Dakar, actually. He and we're still friendly. We follow each other on social media.
I used to follow his blog.
Yeah, I followed his blog. And we keep up via email every once in a while. And I remember, I think I discovered Kanye on there. And I was a huge Kanye fan through like his first like 3 albums. And then for me, like after his mom passed and he posted My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, was like, And then with Jesus came and I was like, no, I'm good. Check it out here. I can't. Yeah, Kanye and his antics is not for me. No.
Yeah, I totally get it. And for sure, I would say that I like the first 4 albums up until 808s and a Heartbreak. I really love that album. It's so good. Like, I love it. A lot of people have mixed opinions about it because of the auto-tune, but I think it's just great the way it is. And definitely, like you said, like My Beautiful Dark Fantasy, and it was like
a little too much for me.
listen. Like, I was like, ooh, like I have an open mind, but I can't go there.
Yeah. And I even have some friends now who still listen to Kanye's music regularly, like the Sunday service, the whole thing. He was with the gospel. And a few of my friends who are able to stay unbiased and deliver good opinions will say, like, with his most recent album, he's gotten a little bit lazy with like the repetition and just the beats, and just it's not like he's coasting. And I can't even on top of his political antics, which we don't have to get into today. He's comfortable, and I think he's become more of a provocateur in lieu of becoming an actual artist. That's taking over his craft, and it's suffering because of it.
See, that's a nice perspective. I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, thank you for that. Makes me think. I do agree in a bit because I do enjoy Sunday service. I thought it was a nice change for him. And, a lot of people, like, again, mixed opinions about that album. Certainly because it was released after so many antics. But while listening to it, I felt the sincerity in what he was singing, rapping about, which I really appreciated. But I tried listening to the new one. I got like 5 tracks in or 4, and that album is long. I tried. I'm like, I'm gonna be right back, and I never really went back to listen to it. But I just wanted to listen to whatever he like came up with, just to kind of like encourage Kanye, because although he's been through a lot and he's done a lot of stupid things, like I still root for Kanye.
Yeah, definitely.
I still root for him. So whatever he like releases, I'd like to check it out, but I have not completed Donda. It's just...
Yeah, I won't. I'm grateful to Kanye because I discovered Kid Cudi, who is still one of my favorite rappers, through him, because he first put Kid Cudi on back when Day and Night was still like on a mixtape. So I appreciate Kanye for that, and his production, you can't take that away from him. But if I hear something on Spotify on a mix, I may like it, but I'm not going to search for his album, anything like that.
I understand. I think a lot of people feel the same way you do about him. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Well,
he's not hurting at all, so.
Right. Oh well, that's that on that. So going back to blogs, like we mentioned, blogging is kind of a dying breed. However, it seems that Twitter's kind of like picking up where blogging left off. For a while, I was kind of worried that Twitter would sort of die out or fizzle out, but thanks to this beautiful thing called Black Twitter, I feel like it's taken on a whole new identity. What would you say are some of your like favorite accounts or people to follow on Black Twitter?
There's so many. Nowadays, I still listen to a lot of different music. So accounts I love for example, Call Me Dollar. Dollar is, I guess, like a music historian. He's just a person that loves music a lot. He loves R&B, so he'll post like the most obscure thing to the most current things. He champions a lot of artists that may not get shine on mainstream radio, which I appreciate. Who else? I love one of my favorite influencers who I've had the pleasure of meeting a couple times. Hey Friend Hey. I shout her out every chance I get. She's into, wellness, and I met her on YouTube years ago when she was all into like natural hair. Clearly it didn't work out for me because I'm bald. Yeah, I follow a lot of people. I've been on Twitter for over 13 years now. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Since May of 2008, I got on Twitter. When Twitter was still like, Twitter, what's that? Mm-hmm. And the fail whale will pop up every 5 minutes. Yeah, I've been on Twitter all the time.
Oh my gosh. For the first years of Twitter, I wanted no part of it. Like I was like, I don't care about Twitter. Like, leave me alone. And then in 2010, 2011, I went to Toronto. I studied in book and magazine publishing, and we had a lot of courses on like online writing and online publishing and all of that. And I remember in February 2011, one of our requirements was to create a Twitter account. And I was like, you won't get me. And then I was hooked, and here we are. But definitely, there are some accounts on the Black Twitter that I follow to get some tea.
Of course.
I'm sure you follow 6 Brown Chicks, and you check it out on Wednesdays.
Those questions. Did you know those questions are actually fake? Well, they seem so outlandish and preposterous.
No.
But I think maybe a year ago, it was discovered when they posted like a follow-up screenshot with like the email that the person sent. Mm-hmm. They didn't take out the to and from field. So it literally said from 6 Brown Chicks to 6 Brown Chicks. And it was like, so you sent this email to yourself?
My dream.
And I'm sorry, I believe mess happens, but the way those stories are structured, and it's like, I cheated on my husband with his mother and his father, but I don't know what he wants to do. I'm pregnant. The father doesn't think it's his, but my husband's infertile. What should I do? What?
I know. There's always a crazy story about a girl having an affair with her pastor, and then she's pregnant, but she doesn't know who the father is because she's been sleeping with his brother, and the whole congregation knows, and they want to kick her out, and it's always happening. Or a girl, often a side chick, who's complaining about her lover's wife and the fact that he spends more time with her and the kids than me. I'm pregnant. I have needs. Like, what should I do? Like, girl, please stop. Exit, please.
Do you know what it is? It's the modern day version of like Ricky Lake and Jenny Jones, and like, because those shows aren't on TV anymore. Jerry Springer's even off the air. He's doing like a judge show now. But for us, it's like the modern day version of those, just on Twitter. And it's just like, I used to respond every Wednesday. I would be on there, quote tweeting like, "You're a dummy. This makes no sense. Girl, you need to leave. Get an STD test and go protect your ass." I was like, this can't be real. This there's no way in hell they're getting these many outlandish responses every.
I'm sad. It kind of breaks my heart. I kind of feel like when I discovered that wrestling was fake, like this hurts. Like, those tweets are outlandish, and those like scenarios are like kind of out of this world. But a part of me still believes that these situations happen to real people.
Of course they do. Of course they do. But I don't think it's that sensationalized. I think the way that they post the stories is just like, this happens, then this happens. Oh yeah, then I got hit by a car. Then this happens again. It's like, wait, okay, whoa. 1 and 2, okay. But 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, all that happened to you, but now you need help to figure out what to do?
I know. I know the people seem too clueless to be real. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my
And
gosh.
it's every single person that's like, I don't know what to do. Like,
Should I leave him? Should I stay? Like, okay, the guy doesn't work. He gave you an STD. You're broke, and you're pregnant.
but he watches your kids for you.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I want to stay because he watches my kids. And like, what? Where are your standards? Please love yourself. Please. Take it. Oh my God. Talking about outlandish scenarios, I want to talk to you about something. I don't know if you watch these shows.
Okay.
Do you watch Sisters on BET?
I don't watch any Tyler Perry shows.
Okay.
I can't.
Okay.
My best friend is a Tyler Perry. She loves his movies. She loves his shows. She watches everything. And she convinced me to go to the movies with her to see Acrimony with Taraji P. Henson. When I tell you, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but when the movie played out and it ended and her character, she died, and the credits started rolling, every Black woman in the theater was cursing. They were like freaking out. They were throwing popcorn at the screen. I was cackling because I was like, there's no way in hell that this happens. Like, there were so many, and I think for me, because I've started like getting into screenwriting and learning about like how to structure a screenplay, how to write an effective story that captures an audience, how to make sure you don't have plot holes. It's like, so wait, how did this happen? How do you jump from here to here? Why they're on a boat in the ocean? Where the hell did she come from? She just pops up like, hey, I'm on the boat. Like, where did she come from? Like, there's so many gaps. And it was to the point where we actually had to go to dinner afterwards, after the movie, to debrief with alcohol because it was just so preposterous. I'm like, I don't see. No.
I share the sentiment. At first, for many years, people have been like talking smack about Tyler Perry, about his writing. At first, I didn't really notice it that much. The first movies, like one of the movies of his that I enjoy is Daddy's Little Girls with Idris Elba. It's very sweet and endearing, and it's nice to see the single father's perspective, which I think was very unique at the time, and I appreciated that. And then there were other movies, over the years things got crazy with Tyler Perry. I'm not even gonna talk about Medea.
Okay, I don't want to sound like a Tyler Perry hater.
Mm-hmm.
Do enjoy some of his movies. I did love The Family That Prays. I did like Why Did I Get Married? And It's Sequel. I thought they were good movies. Mm-hmm. But those are 3 movies out of the, let's say, maybe 20 he's made. Mm-hmm. And I've seen the majority of them. And it's good for a laugh, but it's like the story doesn't, to me,
I know,
it doesn't make sense. So I knew when The Haves and the Have-Nots came out, and Sisters, and Bruh, and all of these shows, I was like, yeah, I'm not watching this because I'm going to be mad at the way that everything's so overacted. Bad wigs.
Oh my gosh.
We shot 15 episodes of the show in 2 weeks. And like, yeah, you can tell the way it looks on television. But yeah.
One of the pain points people have with Tyler Perry, other than the writing, is the wigs. You would think a Black man who has his own studio lot could afford better wigs.
And the shade of that entire situation is Medea's hair is laid in every single movie. It looks like that hair is going out of her scalp.
Yes.
It's sitting.
Yes.
Everybody else's hair, it's like, look.
Oh my gosh, can we talk about Shamar Moore's wig?
The braided wig.
Meet the Browns? The movie? Oh my gosh, was it necessary to give him a cornrow wig? Like, couldn't he have just worn his hair, like his own hair?
With no parts.
No
parts. But the hair was so, yeah.
So that's one of the first like examples of bad hair in Tyler Perry movies that I remember, because I remember watching that movie like way back in the day. Like I'm talking about like 2007, 2008 or something.
Yeah.
I watched it, found it bootleg somewhere on the internet. But I watched it, and the story isn't that bad.
Right.
But I kept looking at his hair. I'm like, what's going on over there? Like, what's happening? Like,
did you see? I'm not sure if it was the haves and the have-nots, but the clip actually went viral on Twitter, where it was a woman. I think the story was like this woman met this guy who she fell in love with. I mean, it's most of his movies. He turned out to be a total dog, and he was Mekhi Brooks was in the movie. I forget which one it was. But anyway, so it was a fall from grace. And there was a scene where she was like being interviewed by the police, and her wig looked one way. Oh. and then like the camera panned to the other person, and then when it panned back, her wig was shifted the other way. And it was like a wind like breeze flew in and just like twisted her wig to the side. And then when the camera went back, her hair was sitting like this. It was so bad.
See, that's why I don't watch his movies anymore. I haven't seen The Fall from Grace because I was told of the bad wig situation and the bad script. So I was like, nah. Any other, like, I think the last Tyler Perry movie I watched, it's been a minute. Mm-hmm. I did enjoy Why Did I Get Married and the second one. The first one was better, in my opinion. I did not like the ending of the second one. Like, he just gets hit by a car, like, that's it. And then Dwayne Johnson shows up and he's like, hey, and then that's it. Credits roll. I'm like,
right.
And he gets like one line. I'm like, okay, is there going to be like a third movie with him in it? And there's a storyline, not just him showing up at the end of the movie as eye candy.
From what I remember, I'm a Janet Jackson fan, but the way and this is, I guess, more so the story than her, but the way her character did this like 180 flip from like this put together housewife who was a doctor and she's the voice of reason for all of her friends. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Jackson, where her personality flipped and she's like sending this stripper to her husband at the architecture firm in a cake, and the guy, and she's like, oh, you want to play games? I'll show you how to play games. And it's like, whoa, like, it's a lot.
It's a lot. And I actually agree. I never saw it that way, how her character fell from grace. But I do understand the fact that, she snapped, her marriage fell apart. She was still reeling like the loss of her son. And like the fact that she snapped. And I remember the scene where she just breaks everything in her house. I'm like, that's credible. I get it. She's just falling apart. But the whole like sending a stripper to her husband, and that is very Tyler Perry. Because in Sisters, I know you haven't watched it, you don't want to watch it, you shouldn't watch it. That show is a train wreck. It is a mess. I started watching it because, to be honest, I was really nostalgic of like, Girlfriends, for Black women, I'm a huge Girlfriends fan.
Same.
So when Sisters came out, I'm like, oh, cool. New generation of like 4 Black women. So I'm like, okay, something I can kind of relate to. I cannot relate to these women. There's this one character. She's a lawyer or an attorney. She has a really like good job, and she decides to have an affair with a married man. And that man turns out to be married to one of her clients. And her client, like, she's suspicious of her husband's goings on. And she decided to hire a private investigator because she's like, oh, I'm sure she's cheating on me. And the lawyer's like, oh, how do you know, with the bad overacting? And she gets into a whole situation, and her friend in the circle of like the 4, they're all like a mess. So one of the girls is, I don't know, like she's in a relationship, it's not going well, and she breaks up with him or whatever. She meets this guy, and at first she's not interested in him. He's married, like he's divorced, he's divorcing his wife, like he left his wife because she cheated and all of that. For him, like there's no going back, and he's over it, and he wants to start something new with the girl. And she's like, I don't know, whatever. Turns out that man's wife started stalking the girl or whatever. And that girl's she has a salon, and that crazy woman shows up to the salon and she kills herself there. She shoots herself. And then there's the other friend who's in a situationship with this guy who could be gay, could be bi. She's not sure. When she asks him, he gets offended. The dude has 2 dads, and she's like, well, maybe blah blah blah. And he wears like tighty whities, and it's just, I'm like,
typical Tyler Perry gay tropes, and like, yeah.
It's heavy. And then there's this other show I tried watching, The Oval.
Hell.
It's Scandal on bad crack.
Yeah. That's what it looks like to me. Exactly like a Scandal ripoff. That's why I did not watch.
It's bad. It's bad. It's just like over the top. That ain't never gonna happen in someone's life type of situation, just like Sisters. And I've never watched Bro or Bruh or whatever. I've never watched that because I'm like, what's the point?
I'm not sure if you can get it in Canada where you are, but there's a show on Stars called Run the World. It's for women around our age. Did you watch?
I heard of it. I can't get it because I live in Canada.
Okay.
But I want to watch it though. I really want to watch it.
I've seen previews for it, and it looks like an amazing show. I just haven't watched it yet.
It looks like what Sisters was supposed to be.
That part.
It does. And it looks like credible stories that women and other 30-somethings can relate to, in contrast to Sisters. Go ahead.
Okay. So one thing I can say about Tyler Perry, and I remember an interview he did a few years ago where the interviewer asked him about like his thoughts on like the backlash he was getting, because of course you can tell he writes all of his own material because it comes from one flat perspective. Like he can't identify with the woman that's been cheated on or a woman in general, as far as I know. So it's very flat that way. And his response to me was so telling in that it was simply, I write for my audience. I know the people that buy my movies, that come see my shows and my plays, who spend their hard-earned money. Those are the people I'm trying to entertain. If it doesn't resonate with you, oh well, but I know my core audience, and that's who I write for. And I said, you know what? I love that for you. I love that for you, Tyler. You keep on writing about single mothers and gay men and stuff that doesn't make sense. Somebody's going to buy it, and you will continue to be a billionaire. And I aspire to be like him one day with better screenwriting.
Absolutely. But I find it unfortunate that he does all the writing. Like, he doesn't have a team. Like, can you only imagine, like, if he had a team, the kind of depth and like, or I don't know, variety that his stories would have, coming from different perspectives, and, not all Black women are suffering that much. I mean, yes, there are, but like, I remember Marseille Martin I remember her posting something about, I don't want to see Black pain anymore.
Right.
I don't want to see Black pain anymore. And makes you think of Tyler Perry's movies and TV shows, because it's one thing to, as a Black woman, to feel seen to feel heard, in storytelling,
Yes.
that is, it's not that it validates our experiences, but, it just shows our experience to other people who maybe would not be aware. I appreciate that. However, it's become his bread and butter in a way of showing Black pain. I mean, we win sometimes too, we have wins, we don't all like have like really bad like relationships, or, we don't all get cheated on. We don't all have affairs. There's so many things that he could explore, so many aspects, so many stories that he could explore if he would have a team of writers with him. But
one thing I think would be interesting to see once he built a studio in Atlanta, and it looks amazing from the photos I've seen. But I'm looking forward to the day where he does like a Tyler Perry Presents banner, and he brings in up and coming Black talent to write under his production company, to where he may be the showrunner, but there is a room or like a show idea that was brought to him and he's just producing it. But he has the team and there are people in place to show these perspectives with them. Because imagine if like an Ava DuVernay had the financial backing of a Tyler Perry to put out movies like The 13th and, When They See Us, and like Queen Sugar, which to me is one of my favorite drama on television right now. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
I've seen a few episodes, yeah.
But imagine if she had the backing of like of Tyler Perry and his studio and his money. Her show is on Oprah Winfrey's network, so she's not hurting. But to see more wins and to see him collaborate with other talent to push up other talent, I think that would be the next great phase of his career whenever he's ready to make that step.
That would be amazing. And talking about screenwriters, what have you been working on?
So I actually, like most people in the pandemic, being stuck at home, working from home, you're left with a lot of free time to figure out something to do. And I've always been interested in screenwriting. I still watch a lot of television, a lot of movies. So I'm working on a couple of scripts. One is a drama pilot for a TV show, and the other one is for a full feature-length screenplay. Don't want to give details because I'm still in the phase where I'm building the story. But I'm excited to actually flesh out these stories and get feedback and work on them and submit them to contests. That's where I'm, focusing my efforts right now.
Oh, that's so cool. It's so cool because I'd like at some point to get into that. I want to take screenwriting classes, I'd like to, because one of my motivations is because I'm sick and tired of seeing the same boring white people in Lifetime movies and Hallmark movies. And every time I see one, I'm like, well, so Black people don't fall in love? Like, they don't fall in love in the countryside or on a farm? Like,
we don't have Christmas movies on Lifetime. We can't, run through the woods, doing our thing at Christmas.
There are a few. There have been a few. There are some, I think, Lifetime or Hallmark movies with Holly Robinson Peete. There's one with Tamara Mowry. There's there's a few, but there's not a lot.
Well, after we get off the call, I can send you some of the resources I utilized in the past year. It's a place near me called the Writing Center, and they actually do online classes for screenwriting, storytelling, and maybe that could be a resource for you.
Oh, I would love that. I really want to get into that because I'm the kind of person who, like, I don't like to complain about the same thing over and over again and not do something about it. So I'm like, instead of always bitching about those boring movies, why don't I write one?
Exactly.
And instead of bitching about sisters, I could write a script for a TV show. It'll work somehow.
Issa Rae did it. Like, if you follow Issa Rae's career from when she was doing Dorm Diaries and she posted on YouTube to now, it's like all you really need is a chance to just work on your stuff, perfect it, get it in front of people, and then the rest can be history.
Yeah. I remember when she used to do Awkward Black Girl. I remember watching it at first. I was like, oh my God, it's so cool. It's so dope. And then hearing about her getting her own show, I'm like, wait, hold up. Is that Awkward Black Girl? Like, she has her own show? Like, what? It's so cool.
And then we're going into the final season of Insecure, and I'm like, oh, I love this show.
You know, I watched the first season. And season 2, 3, 4 are not like, they're available on like a special subscription, and I don't want to pay more. I was able to find like some episodes of season 4. I have some catching up to do before the new season starts. But I remember like finishing watching the first season and being really annoyed at Issa.
Really? The character or
the character. Not the woman. The character, because she cheated on Lawrence. I'm like, why you cheat on him? Then why you just leave him? Don't cheat on him. You know? Why you gotta be like that?
This goes back to the power of Black Twitter and the conversations about what would have been or should have been the right move, because they were together for 5 years. He was sitting on the couch not working for 3 of them. She, from her perspective, was doing everything she could to support him, and she wasn't getting through. And then when she got a sliver of attention from somebody else, she ran. Whereas him was like, I'm trying to sell this app. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm out of college. My girl is here. I'm so depressed. I'm just sitting on the couch, but she's supporting me, and I can't because I'm afraid. But then when I get up on my feet, because I've been away from her mentally for so long, she's elsewhere, and it's a lot.
Yeah. All right. I have some catching up to do. You know, connect some dots. You know, I started watching, I don't even know what episodes I watched from season 4. Like, it was like 3 episodes and like midway through a season. So I'm like, I have some dots to connect before I can move on. So yeah, I'll be working on that.
Yes.
I'd like to know, I'm sure you're also an avid podcast listener.
Oh, of course.
Okay, so what are you listening to?
So it's funny, before we got on the call today, I was actually listening to one of my favorite podcasts called The Friend Zone. Hey Friend Hey is a co-host on there. I still listen to The Read. I listen to, what else am I listening to? Let me pull it up on my phone, because I had this 70-page list in my spot.
Oh my.
Well, not that many. But I listened to, let's see, Deadass with Kadeen and Deval Ellis.
Okay.
The Read, Guys Next Door. One Extra Talks with Richie Brave. He's in London. He works for BBC One Extra Radio. And it's interesting to see like the perspectives of Black British people, because of course in the United States, I don't really interact with a lot of, people from the UK. So to listen to him and hear his perspectives, and to see how many similarities we have despite being separated by thousands of miles is so fascinating to me. I love Jesse Ware's podcast, Table Manners, The Bodega Boys. Yeah, a good mix of podcasts.
Oh, that's good. That's good. A lot of podcasts that I need to listen to, that I need to discover. I would say that some of my favorite podcasts to listen to, I listen to Leave Your Mark by Eliza Licht. She used to be DKNY PR girl. Like, she used to be on Tumblr back in the day.
Okay.
And she had this sort of like, I don't want to say avatar, but this illustration that was created to represent a PR girl. And I used to follow her back then. And she was the senior VP of something over there, of PR or whatever. And on Tumblr, she used to post sometimes requests for fashion shows that she would get. They were the most like ridiculous requests. Like, I'm the PR for so-and-so, like big time celebrity, and she hasn't received her invite yet. It's like, maybe she's not invited. How about that? Or they're like, well, I see like where we're seated, and I think there must be a mistake because so-and-so just released the movie, and she's really important and she should be sitting in the front row. So she used to give in a lot of like insights on world of fashion and fashion shows and all of that. And in 2015, she released a book named Leave Your Mark, talking about her journey, but also how to navigate your way through the career of your dreams, or kind of like the professional life that you aspire to. And I think 2 years ago, she released a podcast. It's kind of like related to her book, and she had so many guests on. She had Lovey, she had Bevy, she had so many people, like really inspiring people who work in the industry, mostly people she's worked with or that she knows. And they talk about their journey, like their ups and downs in their careers. They're not all in fashion or entertainment, but you really get to listen to their stories. And I just love, like, in general, storytelling. So it's pretty cool. Another podcast I listened to. Have you listened to Jesus and Jollof?
Yeah, I've listened to it before. Yeah.
I got hooked like a few months ago, and I just listened to all the episodes. And I'm like, why do I feel like we're homies? Like, why do I feel like we know each other? Like, why are we so alike? And I remember like listening to it, like, I think it was a little before DMX passed away. And when he passed, like one of the first things that popped in my mind was Yvonne, because like her unabashed love and admiration for DMX, and I thought it was like, oh, another podcast. Oh my gosh, so many. I don't know if you've listened to Tamar's podcast, Under Construction. It's really good. And I love that for her, because she's found a platform, like she's regaining her voice after everything that she's been through. And she seems so at ease with that podcast. And I'm like, yo, this is Tamar, this is the real Tamar. And she just took the reins of like her life and her career. And the conversations that she has with her guests are, they're really insightful. And it's all about like wellness and, really like taking care of yourself, mentally, and taking care of your life. Another podcast is Checking In with Michelle Williams. It's kind of the same way. I really enjoy it. I really love it. And I really love how transparent that she's become with like her struggles with mental health, and also how she's becoming an advocate for mental health. So those are some of the podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to Elevation Church, Transformation Church, Booth Church. I listen to that on my way to work because I need to be my best self around people.
I understand.
Yes. So I need to come correct to work, in the great mindset, just positive, and yes.
I understand wholeheartedly.
So I know you're working on some projects. What would you like to complete or achieve in the next 5 years?
So it's funny you actually asked this question, because my best friend and I went to dinner last Friday, and we actually challenged each other to like set up a 5-year plan. So actually this is on like the forefront of my brain. I would love to have one of my scripts, be it a television series or a movie, actually make it from the screenplays or the script stage to actually being filmed and shot and then released by a major studio. I would love to be staffed on a TV show. I would love to work with other creatives. Photography, while I do still take photographs, not as often as I used to, I would love to also lean into that professionally and ultimately make the transition from being a civil engineer full-time to actually the more creative pursuits. So now I'm in the phase of trying to see how I can make that happen. What else? I feel like I'm gonna have to move to California at some point.
Oh my gosh.
Exciting. Because here in DC, it's not really, studios aren't here. So if I'm open to it, if it happens, I'm on the first thing smoking to Los Angeles.
Oh my God.
Hopefully it does come.
Well, I really hope that it does, because we need some new voices. We definitely need some more stories, creative stories. I think we're all craving for that. We've become a bit complacent with the kind of content we consume. Mm-hmm. So to have fresh voices with great stories would be very, very refreshing, in my humble opinion.
Yes,
so
I agree.
Can't wait to see one of your creations and say,
I was sure they invite you to the premiere.
Woo. All right. So as we wrap up this episode, do you have any final thoughts to share?
I can't believe we've been on here for almost an hour already. Mm-hmm. And I remember, now that I'm thinking about the topic, did we actually talk about the topic we had planned for today?
Yes, we talked about how we got started in the blogging and all of that. Oh, okay. And we did. Okay. We didn't veer away too much from the plan, but
it feels like we were just having a conversation. It didn't feel like we topic, but I guess that goes to just the type of conversations we have and how easy it is to just communicate.
It is. I knew we would have a great conversation. I can't believe it took us that long to just, meet. But I'm glad we did. And likewise. I always enjoy following you on all the platforms, because I follow you everywhere. Mm-hmm. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm everywhere. And interest, yeah. And I always enjoy reading your tweets. They're very entertaining. So thank you for bringing some entertainment to my day every day.
You're very welcome. I swear I post random of things, song lyrics, random gifts, stuff I found funny. So I thank you for finding what I post entertaining, because I'm trying it all.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, that's the end of this episode. Thank you guys for being with us. And I'd like to remind you that the Alpha Female Chronicles poetry collection is available on the Friesen Press website. I will add the link to the description. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you soon.